A bit of a reprieve here from the desert sun in Las Vegas, and it's the day after a very action-packed night. Concacaf Nations League semifinal, Canada defeating Panama 2-0, United States defeating Mexico 3-0, KJ, so the final is set. It's Canada, USA. But first, what did you make of the crazy night in CONCACAF?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was chaotic. It was madness. There was a lot of things that you'd expect, I suppose, when it comes to that. Look, the dominant storyline was, of course, when the full stadium came in to watch that final act, which was US-Mexico. But what I made of it was that Canada played a part in all of this. You know, Canada are here for a reason, right? This was CONCACAF craziness, but Canada are there. And obviously, Canada were able to watch some of that game at the end of it. And I think it will play a part on Sunday. We're going to get into this a little bit, but I think the United States, the message today is, obviously, aside from talking about their new old head coach, Gregg Berhalter, is that cannot be their final, right? All their priority was thinking about that. Did they exhaust too much energy? Now they've got a trophy to win. They can't look past Canada now in terms of their priorities.
Well, and they're going to also look like a different team when they take on Canada in the final, because as we know, against Mexico, there were quite a few red cards. 2 Americans ejected, McKennie and Dest. They will not be in the final. So I asked you this in the pregame show, if you thought Canada were favorites. Now knowing who they're going to face, now knowing they're going to be shorthanded, are Canada favorites?
No, I don't think they're favorites, and I think that's fine. Look, there might be favorites inside their own dressing room, and that's all that matters, right? There's an internal belief there that they believe that they belong there. I spoke to some players after the game last night. Richie Laryea told me we deserve to be here now. You know, Kamal Miller said this is a game we've been waiting for a long time, and they looked at those games against the United States in World Cup qualifying. I look back to the Gold Cup, particularly that game in Kansas City where they outplayed the United States and lost narrowly by that 1 goal in the first minute. So I do believe that they'll feel like they can win the game. But of course, we're here in the United States. This team knows how to win games. They've won the Gold Cup in the past. They just comprehensively beat the Mexicans. Their Nations League, obviously, reigning champions as well. So, you know, I think they're right to believe that they are the favorites in this game.
The Americans, no doubt, are the ones with the trophy, but if you look at recent matchups with Canada and USA, of course, we're going back to World Cup qualifying, and the Canadians didn't lose to them. And it used to be a foregone conclusion, KJ, that Canada would lose. They end up drawing, they end up winning that great game in Hamilton. So how do you think these two match up now?
Well, I think there's two different sides to the United States. You know, the team that plays on the road is very different to the team that plays at home. They are at home. Their record at home is very good. I don't expect to see the same team that was quite poor on the road. Their record away from home is not very good. So I think that they obviously will look at this as being, I think, a team that they think they can beat Canada. But how do they match up? Well, first of all, you mentioned it. Dest and McKennie are not available. They're not just two small pieces. They're enormous pieces to this team, particularly McKennie, who is, I think, the heartbeat of this team. You know, he guided them to win that game a couple of years ago in Colorado, that magnificent final against Mexico, and he can drive that team forward, and without him they lose that midfield presence. So I think that's a big task for Canada to think, how can we win the midfield battle? And of course, with Canada, they bring that pace, they bring that play, that ability to score goals in the final third, that Mexico don't do that. Mexico are a very predictable team. The United States saw that, Canada are not. So I think Canada will be happy with the matchup. They just now have to find ways how to win games, something that the United States have been able to do for a long time.
The United States have also been in finals many times. The Canadians, despite playing all these games, finally get to play in a game where they have a chance to lift a trophy. It'll be Canada, USA in the final of CONCACAF Nations League. And of course, you can catch all the action right here on OneSoccer. We'll get you set up at 5 p.m. local, 8 p.m. Eastern.
The U.S.-Mexico game, you know, some beautiful moments for the U.S., a lot of ugly moments for Mexico. But for Canada, everything was just so composed. It was very businesslike, which provides me with a lot of confidence in this group moving forward as well. What did you make of what you saw last night and how we take that forward with us to Sunday?
Yeah, I think what I saw yesterday from the Canadian, the men's side, is that they're X factors that could come in and change the complexity of a game. Look, it wasn't a phenomenal performance. You could see that the boys haven't played together in a while. But look, there are moments and chances where they made the most of it, and they played football in those moments where they needed to and capitalized on it. And that is the game of football. We could talk about X and O's and tactics and ball possession and all that. Score chances that you're supposed to score and be better than the team on the day. That's what they were. And so when I look at this team, just quality, playing Davies, David, Laird, whoever it might be, Buchanan, Stacker. These are names that you're saying that are top-notch ballers, Wheels.
There's options in this team, and there's game breakers. Canada are such an awkward team to play against. I don't think we've very rarely seen them play a poor game. Even when they do struggle and aren't at their best, they're consistently good. And it's because Herdman has them playing in a way where everyone's on board. I think it's understandable, it's applicable, and the players rise up to that challenge. But when you add those pace, the pace they have, especially in wide areas, Buchanan, Davies, Larea, Atakubi, you add those players into the mix. Hardworking strikers like Laren and David leading the line. It's like, it's a team you don't want to play against, because if you overcommit, you can easily get burned. And if you set back and let them operate, what kind of option are you left with here? So I just don't think any team, even the United States playing at home, fancies a game against Canada right now.
Absolutely not, because pace is what kills teams. And this is what Canada had in bags of pace. Bags. Loads of it. And I think that's going to be a difference maker for Sunday's match, is who can get the better of the other team on the day, who can get in behind, who can attack the flanks. And we're in for a good game.
Do you know what? It's Atiba Hutchinson's final game for Canada. Canada-USA, what was it, 2007 Gold Cup, the head of the onside goal that was called offside. Atiba's reaction, I believe in like things being played out in a poetic way. Atiba lifting a trophy in a win against the United States on Sunday. I mean, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, come on.
And that would be maybe fitting after Canada was bribed all those years ago. Canada-United States pre-match comes up immediately following the third place match on Sunday evening.